So here's something strange to think about. In Gen 1, all the final evolution starters were dual types at some point. Maybe not the previous ones, except if you count Bulbasaur, because Bulbasaur was supposed to be a poison and a grass type, which it was in the final version, so it was Ivysaur, then Venusaur. But like when Charmander evolved into Charmeleon, it was just a fire type. But once it evolved into Charizard, it was a flying and a fire type. But when Blastoise evolved in the final versions, we just got Blastoise wasn't a dual type. And that was kind of interesting because I thought for a while, see in the prototype, it was a water and a ground type. And but if you take Squirtle's original final evolution, Tortle, that we know it of as, it was a fighting and a water type, which is kind of interesting. But what's even stranger is Wartortle, even in the prototype, wasn't even a water, was just a water type, it wasn't a fighting type. Not sure why they did that like that, but dual types for the starters were even by the end. But even when Blastoise was its own evolution, it had a dual type, which is actually very interesting. I wonder why they decided just to make it a water type rather than, maybe because it was supposed to be like a water machine instead. It wasn't a fighting, it wasn't a ground type. But I guess they decided to reserve that for later on. Because Blastoise didn't really learn too many water or ground type moves, even though it could. If I remember correctly, Blastoise can learn, what was it? Earthquake. I gotta double check that one. But I think so, though. But anyways, I think, yeah, they wanted to focus more or less on Blastoise learning water type moves rather than it just being a ground type. Or maybe so that way Blastoise couldn't be taken out by Venusaur so easily, you know? And then hence maybe, I don't know, it's kind of interesting actually to think about why they decided to reverse that, why all the other starters had dual types. Because, it's interesting. Like Bulbasaur, Venusaur would be ×4 against fire, Charizard's ×4 against rocks, and then Venusaur would be ×4, or Blastoise would have been ×4 against, if it was a water and a ground type, against grass type moves. Blastoise would have been ×4 against grass type moves. And Tortle, if it was in the game, would have been, well, there would have been no ×4, but it would have been weak against grass, electricity, flying type moves. But it would have had high physical defense. Not the highest, but, but still. What else? It would have been weak against psychic, because it's, again, a fighting type. That's interesting. So, something to think about. Maybe due to balancing issues. Maybe that's why they originally created that. Or maybe they ran out of time due to development, so they changed it. Or maybe they changed it for some other reason, too. It's kind of interesting.